Hello, everyone. It's Seb Brantigan here, and here today I've got Jorge Zarate, and I'm so pleased to have George here as a guest. And so, what we're going to do is I want to ask George some questions. So, recently I've noticed that George is just absolutely, really having a lot of progress in his business. I've just seen him, recruiting people left, right, and center. And so, purpose of today's training is I thought rather than me just chatting to him on Facebook and asking him what's working, I figured that it would be really beneficial for me to do this recorded training, this interview, so he can explain in a bit more detail so that you can benefit as well. So George, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump straight into it and just ask you a couple of questions. So hopefully should not take more than about half an hour, something like that, maybe 45 minutes max. So, but just to break the ice, I always like to ask this question. Tell me an interestingly weird fact about yourself.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for doing this interview. And interesting fact. So, God, there's so many things, but I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize or don't know is that English is actually my second language, and I didn't really become fluent until I was about 18 or 19. So a lot of people don't realize that, but that's I guess that's an interesting fact that most people don't know about unless I point it out.
I didn't know, actually. So yeah, that is that's interesting to know. Wow, that's cool. Excellent stuff. So you're over in Arizona, is that right?
Yep, Phoenix area in Arizona.
Okay, sweet. That's great. So I would love to know more about your journey as an entrepreneur. And so if you could just briefly tell me about how you got started, what was your real motivation to be an entrepreneur rather than just, slaving away at a job? What really, originally inspired you to do your own thing and be your own boss?
Okay. So I mean, that story actually goes back like way back when I was in the Navy. And so I was about 19 years old, actually, by the time I was learning English. So what happened was I was in the Navy and I got an enlistment bonus for being in the Navy. Now I was watching all these other, guys and girls going out and, buying big screen TVs and cars and all these kinds of high ticket things with their enlistment bonus. And I knew that I didn't want to just waste my money. And so what I did was I flew down here to Phoenix where my parents were living at the time, and I bought a house. So this was back in 2003. I didn't know it at the time, but that was actually the beginning of the real estate boom that happened here in the States, specifically here in the Southwest. So needless to say, I bought a house, put about $10,000 down into it, and then, painted the house, had to do some rehabbing, like laying new carpet, painting the house. The garage door had to be replaced, and, a few modifications like that. But anyways, I put tenants on it, went back, I was in the Navy. And so that was my experience, because in the Navy, the government practically owned me. I was told what to wear, how to cut my hair. I couldn't leave a 25-mile radius without asking for special permission. So I got to feel that, I got that feeling of, what it's like to live with someone else owning your life, essentially. And at the same time, real estate here, I bought the house, that was December. About 4 to 6 months later, that house was worth about $60,000 to $80,000 more than when I first bought it. And so obviously that was, kind of like a lucky moment, right place, right time kind of thing, because I didn't know what I was doing. I just bought a house and I was not expecting it to go up in price. But that experience is what made me an entrepreneur, because it just had that contrast and it just stretched my mind to the point where it's like, hey, I can earn about 80 grand in real estate in 6 months. Whereas in the Navy, I wasn't going to get paid not even 30 grand working the full year over 40 hours, right?
Wow.
And especially going out to sea, it was way more than 40 hours a week when you're out to sea and you're 24/7 out there kind of thing. So I guess that's kind of what really got me into entrepreneurship. I mean, since then, that's all I've wanted to do, just find ways to create income. Profits are better than wages is when I was like, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so, what's interesting is I've seen kind of a correlation between a lot of successful entrepreneurs, home business owners who come from a military background. I think, as definitely a pattern that I notice, because it's all about, self-discipline and hard work and all these these things that you can take from the military background and just apply them into your business. It's very similar, working as a team and stuff. So that's great to hear, like, where you came from. And so, fast forward to now, where you're running several businesses now, full time from home. That's quite a big leap, really. And so, congrats on that. I see you continuing to, grow the businesses that you're doing. I notice you've hit a leadership rank in a company, and you're aiming for the next one. So good stuff. So the other thing I wanted to ask, kind of in relation to like how you began, so moving forward to, I suppose, the present moment. So what is your why? What really gets you up every morning doing what you love?
Okay. So my why, I guess, it kind of goes back to that, when I left the Navy. And it's so funny because this is kind of like the thing that I wish more people were able to experience, which was when I left the Navy and ready to go on my own. Obviously, leaving the Navy, I had pretty good net worth because of my the house that I bought and everything. But when I left the Navy, what happened was, this was after 5 years of having to show up to work wearing a uniform. I couldn't call in sick because the way the military works is if you're sick, in the Navy we have a doctor on board, so I still have to show up to work because if I'm sick, that's where I see the doctor anyways.
Sure.
And so I still have to show up to work, and unless they tell me to go home, right? Like I can't stay home. Like, hey, I'm sick. It's like, well, if you're sick, then you need to come in to see the doctor, right? So I mean, there was like no way of getting out of work. So after 5 years of that, I signed my, here we call it the DD-214, is the get out of the Navy paperwork is what I call it, in layman's terms. The moment I signed that document, I went home and I took my uniform off, and it was like the last time I ever had to wear the uniform. And I just felt this sense of freedom. Like after 5 years, I could do whatever I wanted. I had enough money to, if I wanted to travel across the world, I could. And it was that feeling that I could do what I want, when I want, that I just remember feeling that. And I just never wanted that feeling to go away. So that's why everything that I do now, is towards me keeping that sense of freedom. So, ever since I left the Navy, I haven't had a boss tell me, hey, you need to show up to work. Hey, you need, like, none of that. I've been on my own. It's why I build businesses. It's why I create income streams that give me that time freedom. So in a nutshell, that's my why. It's
Cool. That's great to know, actually. And yeah, thanks for sharing. So I suppose for me, I kind of can relate to that, because there was a point where I was in Air Cadets, and I was actually going to join the RAF, and then I had that moment of clarity that you just mentioned about freedom, and I kind of pictured my life and, like, signing my life away. And I'd spoken to people who were in the military, in the RAF, and they were just saying, don't do it, don't don't sign your life away. And it's just, I had this kind of conflict in my head, like, what do I do? So it's it's great that you kind of have like the experience within the military as well, and being able to experience, like, I suppose, not having freedom and then having freedom, which I think a lot of people, they already have the freedom, they take it for granted, so they don't realize, I suppose, the other side of not having freedom, if that makes sense. So that's super cool, man. Just to have that, I suppose, kind of both worlds and experiencing both things, really. So
yeah, you nailed it.
Great stuff. So Okay, so moving on to, as I said, I've seen you bring people into, your business quite regularly, so which is great. And so I wanted to really ask you a couple of things. So what are your top 3 tips for generating leads? So that could be offline, online. What 3 things are working for you right now that you can suggest to other people that, just so the people watching today have some things that they can do right now as soon as they get off the call?
Right. Um, I mean, my take on leads, it's a little bit different nowadays. But obviously, I have to, before I share, I have to give some context into it, because when I first started, with internet marketing, and I mean just marketing in general, the way that I was taught to generate leads was to basically, offer something like a free report, something to incentivize people to get on my list. And I mean, I built my real estate business that way, right? I was offering a free list of bank foreclosures that would deliver on like a weekly basis kind of thing. When I moved into my other business, same thing. I created a free report, and that's what I did. Fast forward to today, I'm a little bit more focused on finding the right people. And so for me, lead generation is more about finding the right people, and instead of trying to incentivize them,
Yeah.
if they are the right people, and if your why and their why are aligned, then you basically build a connection and a relationship. And so leads nowadays, I personally have been generating leads by going out and talking to people, which is very interesting because it kind of, I'm going full circle in that I went from like fully automated systems to now going back in the field and talking to people and doing more of the manual work. But what I'm finding is that by doing that manual work up front, my list is actually far more responsive. And some people may have seen a video that I posted on YouTube where I showed one of my businesses, I got like 98% email open rates, and there's a list of
Wow,
I think that email was sent to about 1,300 people. So
that's good.
1,300 people, it's to get 98% on that amount. On average, a lot of people get somewhere about we'll say under 10% email open rates. So if it's 10%, that means you have to have a list of at least 100,000 to get 1,000 people to open your emails. So that's been kind of like what I've learned is like both methods work. So you can have free giveaways like a free report and stuff like that, and just understand that you're going to have to play bigger numbers to get the same results as if you go out and find the right people. And it takes a little bit more digging, but I think long term it's been a better strategy for me. Definitely keeps my AWeber bill lower.
Yeah, that's a good point. Awesome. Yeah, I really liked your spin on that, actually. I think a lot of experts say that you have to generate hundreds of leads a day to get results. And I see that quite common, that a lot of internet marketers are having to generate, 100, 200, or 500 leads a day to, to get a large amount of signups. I mean, like you said, I suppose it does come down to, personal preference. I think some people like the idea of generating a large amount of leads, but I agree with you, definitely. It's not necessary, and I think you're going to overwhelm yourself if you believe that you have to generate that many leads, because it doesn't come down to lead generation, as you said. It comes down to how many people you actually connect with, because it could be a lead with fake contact information, So it's about the actual relationship behind the lead. As you said, that's really what's going to drive whether they join your business or buy from you, So yeah, I appreciate you covering that, definitely.
Yeah, and I guess where that came from was that as I was learning email marketing, the one thing that people said, it's not the size of your list that matters, it's the relationship with your list that matters. And so I just took that and said, well, you can build a relationship after they join your list, but you can also do it before you join your list. Right. And so that's kind of like where I, where I stand. Like, I focus on building that relationship. And so I do have, I'm not going to say that I don't have automated systems, because I do have, I don't know how many videos and blogs and, things spread around the internet. So people find me, and they join my list without me talking to them previously. But just because I understand that process of building a relationship, I just took it a step further and started to build relationships before I even get people on my list. And I've just found it to be, a lot more effective. When you know who the people are on your list, it also shows that you actually care about the people on your list, because now I'm not writing to an unknown group of people. I know exactly who I'm writing to. So that keeps me from promoting junk products or sending out something that I know is not going to help someone, because the people that are on my list are people that I actually care about. So I want to make sure that I'm sending them good information, and if I'm recommending something, that it's truly going to help them. So
yeah, good stuff. I agree with the integrity side of it, because at the end of the day, these are people who potentially pay your bills. So like, I fully agree. You have to treat them as if they're your family, because I see a lot of people, I was guilty of this at first. I thought having an email list was something that you had to send out a bunch of offers or just send out affiliate products to, so I would just like copy and paste and just send out like a random offer, not thinking about whether it's congruent or helpful, having the commissions in my mind. Well, I can make money, selling this affiliate product, and
right.
And you could definitely burn through your list doing that. So I like I said, I just love the spin that you have on it, that having a low AWeber bill is definitely a plus, along with the fact that, like I said, you know everyone on your list. So it's almost like, I suppose, you're walking into a networking function and like everyone knows exactly who you are, and they're like, applauding you as you come in the room. So I like I suppose visualizing that. So that's definitely given me some great tips on email marketing. I think, as you said, we get too tied up on the numbers, which is quality, not quantity. It always comes down to that, as you said. So excellent. So how is it, you mentioned networking. I mean, do you do that online or offline at networking events, or like how would you do the networking side of it, and then like introduce them to your list, if that makes sense?
Right. So I mean, networking, the thing about networking is, once you know how to help people, then networking and meeting people really can be done anywhere. So I don't think in terms of like, I go on Facebook to network, or I go on Twitter to network. It's just wherever I'm at, it's just who I am. I like to talk to people. And because of my businesses, I'm kind of like in, well, two of the major ones, you're talking about health, health and wellness, and you've got make money, and then my smaller one is brew beer and drink it, which a lot of people that I come across, they like to drink beer, so it's easy to talk about it. But I guess as far as like networking, I'm just so what's the right word to say it? Because I always have it on my mind to meet people. Like I don't know who needs my help or what they need. I'm always looking for opportunities to find out. So to give you an example, later today, I'm going to go meet, a group of friends, and there's going to be new people that I haven't met before, because, we have like this group thing locally here where we just meet friends, and, I just network and meet people. And I'm not going there to promote any of my businesses, but I just don't know who needs something that I may have, right? And so same thing on Facebook. I may go and go on groups, comment on different pages, and I start meeting people. And again, you just never know who needs your help. And that's one thing I like about networking and building relationships, as opposed to just doing everything automated. That is, you can get that insight. Sometimes I've talked to people about They come to me because they saw something about making money online or email marketing or driving traffic to websites. And next thing you know, I get to know them and they have health issues that I can help them with. And I would have never known that if I would have never talked to them and just put them through a funnel that's all about making money online kind of thing. Right. So yeah, it's offline, pretty much everywhere I go. It's just who I am. I just meet people, talk to people, always interested in getting to know what others are about. And if there's opportunities to help them, they'll come out in conversation. So.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's probably the best way to build this business, just based on networking. Like, how can I help you, and how can we help each other? So that's a great principle to build it on. Like, I've actually genuinely been to networking events before, and I remember this guy who was trying to, like, he had this website, and I think he does like SEO services or something. I think I hadn't even said hello to him, and he got his phone out and he was like, look at my website. And I was like, whoa. So it's good to be the opposite of that, because I'm pretty sure, like, you have instances where people are like asking you about what you do, and are like interested in you because you're interested in them, and you haven't even at this point really talked about you. You've put the focus entirely on the other person, ask what's going on in their life, and just seeing how you can help them. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of people don't understand networking, but they also don't understand it in the context of business. The fact that there really is no business in networking. It's just getting to know each other, and it's just helping each other out. So right. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. So a couple of questions left. So a question I was interested in asking you was, because I know you've achieved a lot of success in different arenas and stuff, and so with success comes some kind of failure in the past where you learn from. So what was your biggest temporary defeat? Could you explain a bit about what that was, and like how you got through that?
Biggest temporary defeat. There's so many. I mean, obviously, it's pretty much what has made me, who I am today. It's all my different struggles from the past. But I guess what I would say that almost wiped me out and almost took me out of the game was I did come across some health issues. And this is obviously, this is a few years ago. This is when I was focused mostly on my brewing business. And so I took about almost a full year off where I didn't work the business. I didn't do anything. I mean, the business was well structured to the point where I had enough profits coming in for the next 6 months. Obviously, because I didn't pay attention to it, that started to decline. And, a mix of other things happened. I was in the middle of launching a couple projects and, didn't complete them, but, invested a lot of money into it. And so at the end of that year, I was about $30,000 in debt. And before I knew it, my income went down to the point where I was having a hard time keeping up with the payments. And so this was kind of like one of those rough moments in life where, just kind of hit rock bottom. I had to, sell. I started selling things. Like, first thing I sold was my motorcycle, which was, hard to do, but, had to. Had to sell my BMW and like all these other things that, I had. It just started going away. And I think that what I got out of that more than anything was that during that time, my mindset got so screwed up that I didn't realize how much that was going to affect me. And so now that I'm helping other people, build their businesses, and especially now that I coach people, to do some of the things that I do, I'm very careful and I pay a lot of attention to their mindset and the way that they think. And especially because I understand what it's like to have zero in your savings and checkings and have, negative balance, and your credit cards, and you have all these creditors calling you all the time. I mean, I almost filed for bankruptcy. I had the paperwork filled out and everything. So at the time, all I could think was, I'm broke. I have no money. I don't have resources. And it's all these negative things. I can't do it because, it's one of those, like, if I had the money, then I would do it. If I had the time, then I would do it, kind of thing. And now that looking back, the way I got out of that was by wiping out all that negative thinking and just focusing on where I'm headed and just doing with what I have. Right. So at the time I had some skills. I had already built a, real estate business using marketing. I had built a business, digital marketing, I guess, info products kind of business. So I had the skills to do something, and I just had to look at those intangible resources. And so with the help of, a good friend and mentor, I had to reshape the way that I thought. And then those thoughts is what started to translate into me feeling good about where I was headed, which translated into doing the things that I needed to do to get the results that, I'm getting now. So, that's probably what my biggest one is that I can think of.
Now that's a pretty, it's just pretty, bad situation to be in. So, and I really like that you shared that, because it sounded like you kind of had hit rock bottom, and there was no way to go but upwards. And so, I think a lot of people, they don't take enough action because they wait until they get to rock bottom before they take action, and I think I was kind of the same way. I didn't really take any action until I invested a lot of money into my business, to the point where it was, kind of uncomfortable for me, because I'd invested so much money. And so I just love that you shared that, because, you really were in a spot where you could, you made that decision where you just kind of changed, because you could either be someone who just, lays down and just gives up. But, you knew deep down that that's not who you are, because you've started businesses and, done some great achievements before. Why could you not do that again? So, right. And I think the power of, just having a vision, like you said, just focusing on what you do have. So many people focus on their current situation, and it's so easy when you do that to just fall further and further down that, I suppose, negative rabbit hole, And so, if that's where you are, then, things will get worse. But if you just focus on, positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. And it's so true what you say, just focus, counting your blessings, showing gratitude for what you do have, and just the fact that, you have enough, enough to bounce back. So, I really respect you for that, for, kind of being in that situation and not giving up. You could have easily, filed for bankruptcy, and, you could have gone through that way, but, that would never get you to where you wanted to be. So, right. Awesome job on, I suppose, creating like a complete 180 on your life. I think a lot of people would have been, scared to do that. So, that's awesome. So, yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your honesty. I think I don't know who wouldn't be scared in that position, because it's like you said, people are chasing you for the money, and it's just like you've got to do something like right now. So, but yeah, it looks like it's obviously worked out really well for you. Like using that as your motivation to push you back into where you knew you could be. So that's just great. So I think I'll just do 2 more questions here. So. Okay. What is your top recommended personal development book?
Top personal development. I would say Think and Grow Rich by far would be possibly my favorite. I mean, honestly, I read the Bible a lot. So I like that as well, but I don't think many people understand it as well. And so Think and Grow Rich seems to be something that can, catch more people. But, once you start to understand the principles, they're really about the same thing. So yeah, Think and Grow Rich, I'm actually rereading that again. and it's so funny because I don't remember what was the last time I read it. I think it was maybe about a year or two ago. And I'm reading it again, and I swear, like, I feel like it's the first time that I'm reading it, and it just goes to show how much I've changed, and all the things that I didn't notice before. It's just amazing. So I guess on top of recommending Think and Grow Rich, I would say just about any book, read it multiple times, because you'll definitely get something new every time you read it as you begin to grow and change yourself.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I think I'm guilty of that as well, where I've got a stack of books that I've only read once, and when you kind of read it again with like a different head screwed on, I suppose, then like you said, if you have a different perspective on it, it's almost like a completely different book, even though it's the same book, So I would definitely be reading Think and Grow Rich again. I've definitely read that. So great recommendation on the book there, and also a great suggestion to go back and read things. I think we're maybe in a hurry to like read something and like extract the information that we can miss stuff. So definitely we'll definitely do that. So but the last question for you then, George, is what is the best way people can get in touch with you? Do you have a blog or Facebook? So where can people find you and more about, ask you about what you do?
Yeah. So I guess the best place would be Facebook. That's where people can, actually reach out to me and talk to me. So I don't know if you want to.
I'll add some links as well below.
Okay. So
we'll repost.
I don't even. I think my link is like hip dot and then Jorge Jorge 1. I think that's what it is. But if not, my website is my name, Jorge Jorge. Some people call me George, others call me Jorge. It doesn't really matter. I'm good either way. Used to both. So Jorge, and then my last name, kind of hard to spell, but it's Zarate. So it's kind of like karate, but with a Z. So that's my website, jorgezarate.com. That's my personal website. If people are network marketing, I do have a network marketing specific blog over at influencenetworker.com. So they can also check that out and get more network marketing specific training there. But Facebook is probably the best place where they can actually reach out to me. And like I said, I like talking to people. So if someone asks me a question there, I'll definitely reply and help them out. So
yeah, sounds good. I'll definitely make sure to I'll most likely put this on my blog, so I'll be sure to get these links below it as well, so whoever's watching is able to just click on these and get in touch with you if they want to. So but yeah, George, I really appreciate your time today, and I feel like you really are someone who is very giving of I suppose of your time, and of you're just very helpful. Like, for example, I was having like a tech issue like a month ago with my blog, and I remember like I think I'd posted in our like company group, and you'd got in touch with me saying, hey, let me fix the issue for you, let me what can I do to help? And like, we're not even in the same team or anything, so it's just right. I think that's what leaders do, is put other people first. So like I said, highly respect you for, I suppose, having that integrity and not always thinking about the money, but about how you can help the other person. So I think that's a big lesson whoever is watching today can take away from the interview today. So it's been amazing having you here. Really appreciate your time. So this will be on my blog at sebbrantigan.net. You want to check on the recent posts, or you can most likely search for it if you're watching this. Maybe you're not on my blog or whatever, that's where you'll find the full post. So again, thanks so much for coming on today. Really appreciate your time. And hopefully the next time we meet at a networking event, it's not like for 5 minutes like it was at the the Vegas one, the GoPro one.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely love to hang out more next time you come to the States, or if I'm ever out in England, I'll definitely look forward to actually spending some time and actually hanging out for more than 5 minutes, like you said.
Yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, that's been great. So once again, a massive thank you for being here today. And if anyone wants more information about what I do, you can go to sebbrantigan.net, where you can actually see my about page and stuff if you've not met me before. So again, the links to contact George will be in around this video. And so that's all we have time for today. So thank you very much for tuning in today to this interview. I hope you got some huge value. Make sure to watch it again. As George says, go through things multiple times to to get as much information as possible out of it. And yeah, so I've really had a great time here, and thanks again. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, thanks.